Yeah. I think. Never mind. Oh, guys. God, finally back in the GP surgery. I mean, time we've been doing things over the phone. It's been a long time now, and I haven't been well for a while, you know. However, how do you feel about getting checked out by a her other than a he?
Well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to let her look at me. I don't know her. Right? Can it be that important that she has to check me?
No, it's your health. Right. And it's your health, it is important.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm not feeling sick. I'm good. I'm healthy. Everything's working.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that, but you can still be asymptomatic.
You could do a next view. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, but she's kind of nice looking. Imagine if she told you to drop your drawers and you've got to stand at, you don't want to stand at attention. That could be embarrassing, you know what I mean?
Look, at the end of the day, these things always happen to somebody else. I'm all right. It's not going to happen to me. I've got no history of it in my family. I'm all right, and I don't need anybody telling me what I should do. What kind of experiment are they trying to do with me anyway?
Yeah, but I keep hearing about us, you know, men of colour, black men. We're dropping like flies.
Yeah.
Prostate cancer, diabetes.
That's what they tell us.
Testicular cancer.
That's what they tell us, but is it true?
Well, I don't know, but we're here. But I'd rather be seen by a man. Not that she's nice, but I don't want to go in there like, you know what I mean? You know?
Yeah, well, you know what it is. I don't need to be seen by anybody. I don't need no man looking at me either. What's he going to be looking at? And suppose he starts getting a stiffy.
Well, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's kind of like double asymptomatic, you know what I'm saying?
I might go and see them, I might, but I'm uncomfortable. But I want to see them, but I don't, but I do, but I don't, but I don't know. I don't know. Thinking about it.
I think that's your call to go into. That's no way you pretend. That's no what happened, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And your camera went dead at the same time.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Any comments on that?
I thought that it's an interesting idea when we talk about beings and we talk about medicine, and we talk about doctors, and I do think that one of the things we should actually try to do something on a small piece on, in terms of like when we talk about prostate cancer, and then we talk about how within certain parts of the black culture, having a finger up your bottom somehow bleeds into being a homosexual. In terms of like how you would test the body, like there's lots of different ways. I'm sure most of us as little babies have had a finger up our bum, whether we've wanted it or not. Sorry to upset people who've never realised this, but I personally feel like, yeah, it is an interesting subject where, because we're sort of like, we're not anti-medicine, but the way that history has dealt with black people and medicine is very murky. Yeah. So for a lot of us, going to say, okay, maybe I've got prostate cancer, or I've got throat cancer, or not necessarily even a cancer, like you may even have something as simplistic as sciatica, in terms of compared to an immune deficiency that's not that bad. But yeah, I do think it's an interesting subject in the black male environment, dealing with going to your doctor, taking care of yourself in terms of doing it professionally, not so much holistically, where there are other ways to resolve stuff, but obviously you have to be in the know or being part of these networks to know that, oh, you can take these herbs, or you can boil up this, and it will help you. But yeah, I think in terms of like how they discussed it, and the phone call as well, yeah, basically makes me think about how we do struggle with our health in some sense. Because there hasn't actually been like, I don't know, there probably hasn't, I'm not aware of it, but there isn't like a place for black people to say, look, my toenail is turning like this, okay, well it must be this food you're eating, eat some of the the natural stuff which your body is used to. There's not a place like that. So I think, yeah, that's why I like that. You just went off.
Yeah, what you're saying is exactly what Wayne is. Like there's a massive distrust with us with institutions, but it's like a grey zone. Like there is no like, okay, but this is an alternative. There are alternatives, but are there any institutions that we know of that we can go to and go like, hey, yeah. And also that was an interesting thing that you mentioned about like image versus health. Like I'm not gonna do this because it goes like there's an image of that, but the result is that my health is jeopardized as well. So that's interesting.
There's two things for me. This sense of a denial that was coming out quite strongly on two levels, but also there was the implicit thing around sexuality came out quite strongly as well. What does it mean to us as black men to kind of talk about sexuality and how we talk about it, and what are we actually saying about ourselves or masculinity as well, which is another form of powerful denial of what came out.
Sorry, I don't quite follow you. Just so I can understand what you're saying. You said denial. Denial in what case? From what aspect?
That we can be unhealthy, and we do suffer from different types of ill health. And sometimes what I heard was there's nothing wrong yet, I need to see the doctor.
Okay.
And I wonder what does that say about your own, who you are and your self-image and how you see yourself. And actually saying I need help with this, you know. And I think that's part of positive mental health, to say I do need help.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, which I find really difficult for myself, is talking about your sexuality. You know, because there was underlying issues, I think, that came out quite strongly. Does that make sense? Like,
No, I just wanted to understand what you said. I didn't so much want it because when I heard you, I couldn't quite follow where you're coming from.
Yes,
Okay.
There's so much about that. One of the things that did hit me was the sense that as black men, we are undermined by our own ideas of stereotypes.
Right.
Yeah.
The powerful black man has got this massive erection. He walks around. He's whatever it is, and that's the thing that we are walking into from when we're 15. You know, we're walking there. We're part of it. We're experiencing it. This is how we are. So the idea of the fact that our prostate is getting bigger and we in a particular way is like almost we're not like a man anymore. Anything that happens to us reduces us, and we don't want that to happen. We still want to have this sense of I'm still this, I can do this, I can do that. And that's again our own stereotypes dehumanizing us, isn't it? And that's what I got, that I am still a human, even though I might be ill. You know, I mean, my experience, I have a personal experience of that I had a gold filling. Now, it might be a small one. I had a gold filling, but I don't need to go to the dentist. I can just push it back in, and I can continue to push it back in, and until it got to a point where it was so painful that I had to go to the dentist, and the dentist said, if you'd only come a month ago, I could have repaired it. And so they took the whole tooth out. And that is a sober reminder of my sense of being whole. I need to be whole, to be powerful, to be a man, to be that. And it's like, hold on a minute. What happened if I've heard of people's feet going green, literally going green. And when they go to the hospital, they remove it, because I've worked with those people in hospital. You know, there was a woman a man he's diabetic. He walked an attack, and he just put stuff on it every day. And the next time I saw him, he had both his legs amputated. So but those are the stereotypes. So I guess what I'm saying, and I don't want to take up any more time, is that we dehumanize ourselves to the point that, yeah, it's time we don't care for ourselves.
It's weird because what you're saying, right? It's almost like in our desire to maintain our masculinity,
Yes.
we demasculate ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
Right, so that kind of goes back to your earlier conversation with you guys when you were saying it's about people, is that sense of not that growth sense. There's a moment when your character feels like it hasn't grown emotionally, mentally, it's just stuck there. And I'm sure many of us will recognize certain people we've met who kind of stuck in the same year, the same fashion, the same, you know what I mean? And I often think that we have to learn to be very reflective as black men and also be very open as black men. And this whole masculinity thing that seemed to drive us is also killing us.
Yeah.
So that's my take from, because I often, you know, when I talk about racism and prejudice, I always look at myself first before I look at the person doing that, because I've got no time for that. It's more about me being reflective and how I can circumnavigate around a situation that is thrown at me, and when I have the tools in order to do it. And I think it's so important that we get to a stage that we can, because we live in England. This is our home. The reality, this is our home. Unless you choose to go somewhere else, that becomes your home. But why not enjoy it whilst you're here? That's my
question, please, pertaining to the depiction. When they killed that brother there, and somebody in the audience said commodity in terms of body parts. My question is, given what's happening in reality of the street, and so many of us losing our life, or black youths or whatever, is there any way that we can go to find out their body parts have been removed